When it comes to updating your home's look with new light switches, you might think swapping out those old off-white switches for crisp white ones is a simple job, but it can get surprisingly tricky if your wiring isn't what you expected. So, I totally get why you want to just replace those yellowed ancient switches with some fresh white ones, especially if you're after a clean, modern vibe in your space. But sometimes you open up the wall and see something wild, like wires soldered directly to the switch instead of the usual screw terminals or wire nuts, and you're just standing there like, why did they do this? It's not all that common nowadays, but in older homes or DIY jobs from back in the day, people would sometimes just solder wires straight onto the switch to save time, or because that's just how they rolled. Thing is, it makes swapping switches a hassle, since you can't just unscrew or unclip anything. You have to carefully desolder or snip the wires, and that can mess with the wire length or even damage stuff if you're not careful. If you're running into this situation, grab a soldering iron to heat up and pull off those wires safely. Don't yank them or you'll end up with a bigger mess. But honestly, if you're not comfy with electrical work, it's totally cool to call in a pro rather than risk frying yourself or your wiring. And yeah, always turn off the power at the breaker first. Like seriously, don't skip that step or you'll be in for a bad time. If your new switch doesn't have screw terminals and only works with wire nuts, you might need to twist new extension leads onto those short old wires so everything fits clean and safe. Don't forget about grounding too. If your house isn't grounded properly, which is pretty common in older spots, it's worth getting that checked out for safety and peace of mind. And hey, if you're swapping out dimmer switches because of flickering LED lights, make sure your new dimmer is actually compatible with LEDs. Otherwise, you'll end up right back where you started with weird flickers or lights turning on by themselves in the middle of the night. One of the most common mistakes folks make when replacing light switches is not cutting the power at the breaker before starting. Seriously, always double check that you've killed the juice because nobody wants a shocking surprise. Another big issue is not matching the right kind of switch to your bulb type, especially with dimmers and LEDs. Using an old school dimmer with LEDs will make your lights flicker or act haunted. Finally, a lot of people just twist wires together without using proper wire nuts or electrical tape, which can cause loose connections and even fires down the line. So always use the right connectors and give everything a solid tug to make sure it's tight. If you ever feel like this kind of electrical work is outside your comfort zone, BigHomeProjects.com is an awesome spot to find qualified local electricians you can actually trust. No more guessing if the person will show up or do the job right. Plus, for contractors looking for steady gigs or homeowners wanting reliable help, it's honestly the easiest way to connect without all the stress and hassle.